let's go.
I had not been back there in years, but it was the last place left to look. Those lost wishes weren't the treasure I was after. It was not exactly as I remembered it, but it wasn't all that different either. Two odd contraptions guarded the lost treasure. I would have to turn one and see what happened.
So the first part of this game is actually a flashback to later in the story.
And that's what would have happened if I turned the left switch. But since I am here telling this story, you already know that I pulled the right one.
You can't die in this game, so it's worth going through all the available options, and if the correct one is obvious, it's worth going through the wrong ones, because this game has seriously some good voice acting and dialogue.
Buckets, barrels, butter churns, and beds were jammed into every nook and cranny of that cave. It all seems so familiar.
So familiar.
Even though the bed was very comfortable, this was no time to hide under the covers. As I was saying, this was no time to take a nap. All right, I took a brief rest before I decided to adventure on with that very important treasure.
There's actually an achievement for sleeping multiple times.
Wait. Hold on, Grandpa. I don't remember this part of the story. Beds hanging from stalactites?
We'll get there, Gwendolyn. Don't worry. No detail in this story will be overlooked. Now, where was I? Ah, yes. As I treaded through the river of rumbling trundles, I feared I knew the source of that deafening wind.
Yep. Sounds like something breathing. It definitely is.
Nestled beneath a slumbering pile of teeth and claws was...
Fabled mirror.
Oh, so you remember this part of the story.
Well, dragons are my favorite.
Do you want to tell this part?
Yes. King Edward sent me, the greatest knight in all of Daventry, on a quest to return his stolen mirror. A gigantic, hulking beast of a dragon was the last thing in my way to... My way to add a shinier hat to my collection.
I tried to turn that crazy contraption, but it was missing a handle. Someone tampered with it, creating some silly conundrum. Volumes of old books with foreboding titles clutter the shelves of that strange bedroom. How to Tame a Dragon, Breaking the Spirit of Hideous Beasts, Amateur Spells to Impress Your Friends with. No books about recovering missing handles, though.
So, the missing handle was booby-trapped? What did you do?
Well, I used my cleverness to outsmart the trap. Then I used my cleverness to hide. And that's how I knew the dragon appreciated my good taste.
Grandpa, another pun?
Well, we are just getting started.
As I said, it's worth to die actually, because even in the continuous screen, the dialogue is pretty funny. The grandpa has a lot of very lame puns, so it's worth going through all of it. It really is.
So, the missing handle was booby-trapped? What did you do?
Well, I used my cleverness to outsmart the trap. Then I used my cleverness to hide. Luckily, that half-blinded beast never noticed me in bed.
A dragon's eye must be really hard to pierce with an arrow. At archery lessons, I can barely hit a hay bale.
It is indeed a feat only for skilled archers. I tried to turn that crazy contraption, but it was missing a handle. Someone tampered with it, creating some silly conundrum.
What did you use to fix the broken switch?
The dragon's chains were coiled around a gigantic switch mounted to the cave wall. This cave seemed to be filled with failed adventures. After he briefly basked in the sun, the narcoleptic dragon went back to snoring.
I probably sleep all day too, if Amira was my only friend.
After I was impaled by that spiky bed, I took a nap and decided the magic mirror could wait another evening before being rescued.
Grandpa!
Well, I thought maybe it was your bedtime, but I can continue.
So yeah, this is my second time going through this, so the death scenes are pretty entertaining. The dialogue between the grandfather and the daughter, and oh yeah, the only problem with this is that you can't skip cutscenes and dialogue. So like this impaled death, it will start you quite far at the back, so you can't skip all those cutscenes like this. There's some other dialogue for this death. So here we go. Some sound.
Wait a minute. Does this mean our family's immortal?
Cutscenes, so better to die early into the start of a segment of a puzzle. You die towards the end, then you have to go through all those cutscenes, the dragon waking up, blah blah blah. I'm not pressing anything, I'm just moving forward. The game automatically walks when you reach this part, so don't worry. This game is a relatively easy game. Actually, it is an easy game. You can't die. So sooner or later you're gonna find out the solution. Okay. Once you enter this part, this is already a cutscene, you can't do anything. Yep. You're dead, so don't go in there.
You marched right into a ferocious dragon's mouth.
I was just making sure you were still paying attention.
Let's do that again. I actually missed that death scene on my first run because, you know, logic, don't walk straight into the dragon. But there was actually a hidden trophy or some sort, so yeah. A hidden trophy walking straight into the dragon, so yeah, this game pokes a lot of fun about the weird trophy, sleeping in the bed multiple times, if I'm not mistaken. You'll get different dialogues. You know there's something up when every time you do the same action, there is different dialogue until you get a repeat of the dialogue. Then it's move on.
Whoever designed this trap thought they were pretty clever, but I would probably find a way to hit that unreachable switch.
Sorry, I'm having a really bad cold. This part you'll get to understand in the later part of the game. As I said, this is a flashback. You'll understand. So you are actually an accomplished marksman. That too will be explained or hinted on in the game later. I don't know what's up with this, with these beds. Seems like this cave is, I don't know.
The mirror called out to me.
Seems like this place is filled with goblins or something, stealing beds, mattresses, and junk from the town. Beautiful design. Okay, so another death scene, I guess.
A ridiculous feeding contraption was cobbled together to keep the beast and probably its owner alive.
Grandpa!
Dragon Petite 4.
Oh, by the way, you have to turn on captions in the options. It's better playing without captions, but sometimes I don't get the pronunciation, so I leave it on. The captions do tend to take you away from the action, the things happening on the screen, but yeah, I prefer to understand what I'm hearing. Okay.
A ridiculous feeding contraption was cobbled together to keep the beast and probably its owner alive.
So this machine just alternates the food delivery from the right side of the pit to the left side of the pit. So the next one I'll show you. This is not a death scene, but it's a mistake, I guess. A wrong choice. Okay, let's send the beef again to the left side. You know where this is going. Put it to the left, ring the bell, dragon goes over there. That shiny mirror is free for you to take. Yeah, sorry. If you don't want spoilers, you wouldn't be watching this. But this is just a early part of the game, so don't stress yourself too much about it. This is like 10, 20, less than 20% of this first episode. Call up the delivery machine thingy. We go down. And there we go. Actually, I've never walked to the dragon. I wonder what happens. Oh. I didn't know you can walk up there. I think I'm gonna die here. Yep.
Marched
Okay.
right into a ferocious dragon's mouth.
I was just making sure you were still paying attention.
I love the function of the cape. You know, these type of games you carry a lot of ridiculously large stuff, so they use the cape to kind of get over that issue of items disappearing into your ass. Okay, death scene.
Can you put my mouthwash back on the shelf, please? Now, where was I?
I think all the death dialogues are the same in this whole section. So I think I'll do one more and then I'll just end the game. Yeah. Look at that. It looks like a cat. Whoop.
Grandpa!
Dragon Petite 4.
Okay, I think all the dialogues are the same, so we'll just get on with it. Oh crap, I forgot to press the button. Sorry. So just mash on the button. Oops. Sorry about that. There's not much timing involved, just when the button appears on the screen, just press it. So I told you it's a really easy game. Right.
I guess you could say that river swept me off my feet.
I missed that death scene in my last 2 tries, so I just had to see that. The rest should be the same. You press, as long as you see the symbol, just press it as fast as possible. There's no timing required really. This is such a beautiful game. I love the art, the story, how it's being told. Really good. Oh, I think there must have been another death animation. Well, maybe some other time. Just avoid. You can't get hit by these falling stuff. I tried.
With the magic mirror safely in my possession, I dreamt of the Daventry I would be rewarded with, and the kingdom it could become. that split second, I had three choices in front of me. Any would clear my path to safety, and all would have rippling consequences.
So you can really take your time. This is actually supposed to be slow motion, you know. If you notice, the dragon is actually attacking you, so you have ample time to choose. This thing, the thing that's training the dragon, the dinner bell, and I guess the remaining eye. The other eye has been poked out. So
The end
of this sentence? What's next?
So actually, this is where I accidentally deleted my save. We'll exit back to the main menu. Sorry. I've done the bell. Shooting the bell, the dragon will go to look for food, but that's kind of boring. So let's save before that option so we can see the two remaining options. So this would be slot 2, the game that I'm playing. We'll make a copy. Select the save, press square, choose the slot to copy slot 2. So, and we'll rename this. Press L1, rename slot 2 copy. Oh yeah. Character limitations, slot 2 copy. So there we have it. So I know I can reuse this if I screw up with this save file somehow, or I can just delete this later to make up space. So let's go back to the story, play, we continue, and as I've read, the best option is to shoot the chain on the left, but I was actually tempted to shoot
that
the
split
dragon's
second,
eye
I had
on my
three
first
choices
run,
in
but
front of me.
I saw the
Any
bell
would
and
clear my path to safety,
Yeah, I
and
thought
all
that.
would have rippling consequences.
so let's try shoot this one, the best ending. What happened? Kindness as always. You know.
My hands were shaking and my arms could barely grip the rope, but with the last of my strength, I climbed out of the well and headed back to the castle. Ever since the magic mirror returned, its reflections have warned the kingdom of danger, kept our family safe, and it has exposed many troublesome crumbs tangled in my beard.
Yeah. King Edward was so proud that you returned his lost treasure that he made you king. Everyone knows that part. Now, can we get back to that dragon?
Gwendolyn, there is so much more to my stories than dragons. I hope this old cap will be remembered for far more than the action tattered across its brim, sewn into the seams of many hidden adventures. All right, let's get back to the dragon.
Tell me everything. Like, why did you set the dragon free even though he was trying to eat you?
I set him free because, well, over the years I realized that the dragon was not the despicable, hideous beast Daventry had made him out to be. He was just a caged animal that was never shown any kindness. On that day, I forgave the dragon for his atrocious past.
You have such a bizarre way of making friends, Grandpa. I guess I do too. I'm known as Gwendolyn the Popular back home, but only to my stuffed bunnies.
I've always found it best to pursue friends where I can, though they don't always feel the same about me.
All right, you two. Grandpa needs to rest. Gwendolyn, it's way past your bedtime.
Sleep well, Grandpa. I'll be back first thing in the morning.
I don't need rest. I'm as spry as I've ever been, though I wouldn't mind a slice of magic fruit.
Well, hello, cousin.
Guard!
I'm glad you're finally here. He's been asking about you for days. I had to sit through the same story 5 times.
We got here as fast as we could, and I like Grandpa's stories, especially the ones with dragons.
Ah, yes, the legendary beast that he set free. I don't know if he forgets I've heard that story before or he doesn't care, but he loves telling it to anyone that will listen. I'm pretty sure I heard the nursemaids telling his same jokes in the hall.
Have you heard anything the doctors are saying?
Yes, doctors, wizards, magic elves. Grandfather is fine, Gwendolyn. They all say the same thing. He's just old. He still has a few good years left. Look, we're all excited that your family made the trip, but there's no need to worry. You should get some rest. I'm sure you're scheduled for a full morning of Grandfather's hilarious ramblings.
Oh, I'm also scheduled for the tournament tomorrow.
Ah, yes, the fencing tournament. You'll love it. I'm, of course, favored to win and will make sure you have the very best seat to view my victory. The courtyard will be filled with important people and delicious hors d'oeuvres.
Oh, I'm actually competing in the tournament.
I had no idea we were hosting a junior tournament. That's incredible. In that case, I will gladly be there to cheer you on and eat delectable appetizers.
Nope, no junior tournament. I'll be squaring off against you.
I see. Well, perhaps this is the time to stop listening to stories and finally make some of your own. Good night, Gwendolyn. Sleep well.
Come in, Gwendolyn. You can set those on the nightstand.
Grandma said to take 3 spoonfuls of each.
I'll get to those. No need to fuss over me. Now, let's talk about far more important issues, like that fencing tournament. I hear you're competing.
Well, I signed up, but I'm not so sure anymore.
Nonsense. If it's Scott you're worried about, he's no bother. After all, I only learned that you entered after he complained about it all morning. Threatened, I'm guessing. There are many ways to win a duel. I, for one, have always been fond of...
Ah, crap, I forgot what I chose in the other one. I think I chose an act of kindness even in victory because my primary choices usually are based on what I would think in real life. I don't know if I had to fight a dragon or someone. It's just kindness above all, you know. But these are the 2 options are not so against my, what do you call that? Principles or something like that. I'm forgetting all these words. Let's go with a quick-witted distraction.
Thinking of the problem in a different way, and finding a clever distraction to create a moment of victory. Speaking of, that reminds me of a story, one I know you haven't heard before. When I was a much younger lad, before I was a knight, before I'd been to Daventry, and even before I had seen a dragon. It's a tale about a tournament that changed my life. It is a long story, but I shall tell it briefly.
So this is the main part of the game.
Well, Triumph, this looks as good a place as any to camp for the night. Let's rest up. We have a big day tomorrow.
Oh, I don't think there's a correct or proper way to go through this part. You're just coming down any way, any option you do, you still tumble down. I only hit one tree in my first play, so now in this game I hit 3-4 trees. Yep. Don't worry about
After
it. These
gracefully
are just
rappelling down the
minor
cliff, I
changes.
welcome the sight of an actual road, the first sign of civilization.
So yeah, this is the main part of this episode 1 story. It's way much longer than that dragon part just now. So maybe in another episode, or maybe you guys can try this out for yourself. So I really recommend you guys to play this, especially if you got it free. Only the first episode is free from PS Plus. I tried playing the second episode. They asked me to pay $40. So there's supposedly 3-4 episodes more in this game, so that comes around to $160. That's a lot of money, guys, for a 4-year game, 3-4 year game, and it's pretty simple, but the storyline and the voice acting, my god, the voice acting is superb. Okay, let's load up the save game and we'll see the second option of shoot while we're confronting the dragon. Yes. Sorry, I mean the third option. The first option was shoot the bell, and we'll change save slot. We'll play this slot. Select it, press X, go back, and play. So the first part was shooting the bell. It didn't give such a great story later on. Sounded like
In that split second, I had 3 choices in front of me. Any would clear my path to safety, and all would have rippling consequences.
Sorry, dragon, I'll have to take out your eye. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. The dragon's already tied up in this dark cave with one eye missing, and now I've taken out its remaining eye. Feel bad for them.
My hands were shaking and my arms could barely grip the rope, but with the last of my strength, I climbed out of the well and headed back to the castle. Ever since the magic mirror returned, its reflections have warned the kingdom of danger, kept our family safe, and it has exposed many troublesome crumbs tangled in my beard.
Yeah. King Edward was so proud that you returned his lost treasure that he made you king. Everyone knows that part.
There's only
Now,
a few
can we
small
get back to that
changes
dragon?
into the
Gwendolyn,
dialogue.
there's so much more to my stories than
based on
dragons.
your
I hope this whole
choices.
camp will be
So
remembered for far
I'll just show
more
you
than
up
the action
to
tattered across its
this
brim,
part.
sewn into the seams of many hidden adventures.
Gwendolyn asks a different question, I
All
think,
right,
compared to
let's
the
get
other
back
choices.
to the dragon.
Tell me everything. Where can I learn to shoot like that?
A good mentor and practice. This wasn't the first time I went eye to eye with that hideous beast, and while that shot was certainly in self-defense, that arrow was a bit vengeful, I'm afraid, but let's continue that story in the daytime. It's about to get a tad more scary.
Dragons don't scare me, even those with all their eyes. If I ever come across that dragon, I'll finish him off for you. And I'll be known throughout Daventry as Gwendolyn the Brave.
That's quite a bold plan, one that requires a steadfast gut and a deft hand.
All right, you two. Grandpa needs to rest. Gwendolyn, it's way past your
God.
bedtime.
My cold is getting worse. Anyway, this sounds
Sleep well,
like
Grandpa. I'll be back first thing in the morning.
the best choice in the story.
I don't need rest. I'm as
makes you
spry as I've ever been,
sound
though I wouldn't mind a slice of magic fruit.
better, I guess. Well, your granddaughter gives a better story of herself. In the other two options, she says her nickname back in her hometown is a different one. So it's pretty cool, all these subtle changes. This scene also was different between the past two choices, so let's see what happens here.
Guards!
Well, hello, cousin.
Okay.
I'm glad you're finally here. He's been asking about you for days. I had to sit through the same story 5 times.
We got here as fast as we could. And I like Grandpa's stories, especially the ones with dragons.
Ah, yes. The legendary beast he went eye to eye with. I don't know if he forgets I've heard that story before or if he doesn't care, but he loves telling it to anyone that will listen. I'm pretty sure I heard the nursemaids telling his same jokes in the hall.
Have you heard anything the doctors are saying?
Yes, doctors, wizards, magic elves.
So, when
Grandfather
I
is
first
fine,
played,
Gwendolyn.
my
They
first
all
run
say
in
the
this
same
game,
thing. He's just old.
when I reached this part, I was
He still
going
has a few
like,
good years
oh,
left.
Man.
Look, we're all
The-
excited
the
that your
grass
family made the
is-
trip, but
is-
there's no need to worry. You should get some rest.
It's on
I'm
his
sure
last
you're
leg.
scheduled for a
He's
full morning of Grandfather's hilarious ramblings.
dying due
Oh,
to old
I'm also
age.
scheduled for the tournament tomorrow.
Ah,
Um,
yes, the fencing
This
tournament.
part was
You'll
like,
love it.
oh,
I'm, of
man,
course,
why
favored to
did they have
win
to
and will
do
make sure you
that?
have the very best
Come
seat
on.
to view my victory. The courtyard will be filled with important people and delicious hors d'oeuvres.
Oh,
Great
I'm actually
writing, though,
competing
but-
in the tournament.
Feels bad.
I had no idea we were
Feels
hosting a junior
real
tournament.
bad.
That's incredible. In that case, I will gladly be there to cheer you on and eat delectable appetizers.
Nope, no junior tournament. I'll be squaring off against you.
I see.
Okay, we'll just
Well, perhaps
listen
this is
to
the time to stop listening to
part
stories
where
and
she
finally make some of your
creeps
own.
back into the grandpa's
Good night,
room
Gwendolyn.
because
Sleep
the
well.
last two times were different too, because I had different choices. So let's see, maybe there's difference in this scene as well.
Come in, Gwendolyn. You can set those on the nightstand.
Grandma said to take 3 spoonfuls of each.
I'll get to those. No need to fuss over me. Now let's talk about far more important issues, like that fencing tournament. I hear you're competing.
Well, I signed up, but I'm not so sure anymore.
Nonsense. If it's Scott you're worried about, he's no bother. After all, I only learned that you entered after he complained about it all morning. Threatened, I'm guessing. There are many ways to win a duel. I, for one, have always been fond of...
Okay, what did I choose just now? I think my first playthrough I chose an act of kindness. Just now was a quick-witted distraction. Let's go with a deft maneuver. The most boring sounding choice, I guess. So, yeah.
Precision through practice, and a deft maneuver or two. Train harder and follow your instincts. Speaking of, that reminds me of a story.
Okay,
One I know you haven't heard before. When I was a much younger lad, before I was a knight, before I'd been to Daventry, and even before I'd seen a dragon. It's a tale about a tournament that changed my life.
Okay, so that's it. The first part, the intro part of King's Quest, episode 1. I finished the whole game, just so you know. So I just played here to see the changes in the dialogue, the death scenes, and I wanted to show you guys the various death scenes and the dialogue between Gwendolyn, the granddaughter, and you in your old age, Mr. Grandpa. And the dialogue is, and this is just the tip. It gets funnier later in the game because you have multiple chances to die or screw up in your game, and at the continue screen, your Gramps will continuously make ridiculous puns, but it is so funny, and the daughter, the granddaughter is learning about puns. She hates it at first, but she'll warm up to it. So it's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of puns, lame puns, smart puns, whatever. But the puns have to make sense. Need to. Why am I explaining puns? If you know how to make a pun, then you know what a pun is. So some people don't know what a pun is, so they make a joke, expect say it's a pun, but it's not. But so those are the types that make you cringe. I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe it's just too late. It's already 3:49. Great, guys. I expected to sleep early today. Thank you to myself for deleting my save, my second run save. So here we are. So I wholeheartedly recommend this game to everyone. For you guys who love reading stories, fairy tales, adventures, storyline is awesome. Dialogue is superb. Your main character's grandpa voice is awesome. I forgot his name. I read it on a games review. I think he's a quite renowned or a famous voice actor. His voice is superb here. You can't say no to that. This is actually a good game to let your kids play, because there's no the jokes are pretty fine so far. It's funny, it's lame funny, it's funny, but there are a lot of parts that are actually tributes to the original King's Quest, I believe. So I've never played a King's Quest in my life. Sad, I know. I've just been reading it in all those PC gamer magazines, whatever. So yeah, I all this while I thought King's Quest was some serious fighting adventure game. I'm not sure if the old games are like this in nature, but when I played this, I laughed my ass off. I literally laughed out loud at some scenes because it was so like so so funny, and they also like make fun of many tropes, gaming tropes and all that. But yeah, playing with your kids, there's no lewd jokes. I believe. Don't hold me to that, but um, I'm pretty sure I didn't um, run into any bad inappropriate jokes. So I'd say this is perfectly family safe. And the game goes at a steady, nice pace. I bought another game. It's called
It is a long story, but I shall tell it briefly.
something ending tale or whatever.
Well,
Awesome.
Triumph, this looks as good a place.
Awesome graphics on that game. Good story. So voice acting. Horrible controls. It's I think it's tank controls. Like Resident Evil 1 for all you pre-millennial guys. Um, Tank controls, but the game moves at a slower pace than Resident Evil 1. And I loved Resident Evil 1. I don't have a problem with tank controls, but I don't know, something about this game was so slow and it crawling at a snail's pace. So it was fun for the first 5-10 minutes, and after a while, completing puzzles was so tedious. I just wanted to finish that game as fast as possible, because I already dished out like, what was the price? The 20-30 bucks at the time. So I'm not gonna buy a game and just throw it, skip it. So make the most of those bucks. And the controls were so horrible. The puzzles was and it made the puzzle solving so slow, finding items so slow. It was frustrating. I was just halfway. I just want to find out the ending of the game. I don't care about the gameplay anymore. It was so boring. But if you have the patience for it, do try it. It has good graphics. The jokes are a bit beyond lame at some points. I read the reviews. They said the joke it was kind of lame. I thought it was I'm a big fan of Monkey Island, so there's a lot of funny lame jokes. But this was lame. So you've been warned. But for this game, please try it. Please. This is superb in my eyes. 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, I'll knock out half a stars for Niggles, since this is already 4 years ago. You can't skip cutscenes. Why is that a problem? Or previous you can't skip dialogues. Why is that a problem? Because if you're used to playing this type of games, you know you interact with the same object or person a couple of times just to make sure you didn't miss anything. So sometimes there's a lengthy dialogue for that item or person, and when you initiate the character, he repeats that same dialogue. That signals that there's nothing else to be done, but you can't skip it. So, and sometimes you run along, you're trying to click something else, and you click onto that person, and you have to hear the whole dialogue again. It's a minor niggle, and there are some bugs I encountered along the way. Something to do with cutscenes when I did some action, and then it resulted in a cutscene that moves your character away from your original location. Your character gets stuck walking in one direction, and sometimes makes the game you can't control your character. So I don't know what's up with that. I thought it was a isolated thing, but I ran into it like 5-6 times in 3-4 different places. So yeah, but don't worry. Somehow I got to get out of those situations. 2 places. I think after a while, your character walks off screen, and suddenly the scene goes back to where your character was actually supposed to stop. The third place, I was stuck walking into a wall. And I don't know. There must be a timeout, a timer for these things that suddenly gives you back control. Or I kept on pressing square or triangle, if I'm not mistaken, or was it one of the shoulder buttons, and suddenly the controls came back to normal. So yeah. Apart from that, everything is superb. It's so funny. It really is. It's so funny. The puzzles are simple. Don't worry. You don't have to try to look at every single item on screen. Um, the items that you need to use and interact are quite obvious in the screen, and if they aren't, they're just a few screens away, or really not that far. You don't have to like track to opposite ends of the map, of the world, to get one item and send to the other. So it's enjoyable. It's like a interactive storybook. So, and oh yeah, and one more thing, there is no world map. So I don't know about you guys, but I think maybe my memory is dying on me or screwing me up these past few years. So I can't remember the past few scenes well, after a couple of minutes. So I keep on walking back to the same place, and I remember I see the scenes. I remember the scenes, but I have no memory of which exit leads to where. So it's frustrating for me, but most probably you guys don't have a problem with that. So yeah, it's just a personal thing. I think my memory is really in the dumps these past few years. Yep. So that, and I believe I have another small complaint. I can't remember, but oh yeah, this is not a complaint actually. This may be improvement, because I don't know if I've seen this before, or I just thought up about it. Um, in this game, there's no markers or indications of the objects you need to interact, um, or characters that you have finished dialogue or something. Uh, like some other games, you can press a button to have markers, arrows pointing at the objects you can interact or people you've talked before, and when you've finished a puzzle concerning that character or part, the the arrow disappears. That means you can't interact with it anymore. You can't select. So this game doesn't have any marker, any instance at all. So sometimes you uh, I mean, if you like paused or stopped the game for a couple of days and you play another game, and you come back and you go like, where the hell am I and what am I supposed to do? So you end up trying to interact with all the people and objects, and like, yeah, I've heard this before, I've heard that before, I've done this before, blah 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 blah. So it would have been nicer if there was an option, maybe in easy mode, or to have markers and or outline or highlight, and some sort of signal, or maybe it highlights a different color once you've finished all the dialogues available for that character. Because some of the characters you can talk to like 9-10 times just to get different dialogues and trigger trophies. So you really don't know when the end is, or if there's new dialogue, because the only indication is that your character will repeat saying, the characters or the objects will have repeat dialogues from the first option, the first time you interact with it. So minor gripe. It's a short game, simple game. So have fun, guys. Sorry for my constant cold. Yeah, please pardon that. And sorry for my rambling because this cold is getting to my head, so I'm not sure if I'm making sense right now. Okay, so have fun, enjoy the game. Please play it, and tell me what you think about it. Okay, good night, guys.